welcome back to the All Things Geekery podcast. I'm your host, Detached.
Hey guys, and I'm Victus. So before we get started with the podcast, which is going to be talking about Destiny 2 and where we're at with the state of the game, we have some quick updates and some news announcements regarding the channel and the current progress that's been happening with us. So it's official. We're now going to be pushing forward with a bi-weekly recording schedule, so that way you can expect a podcast every 2 weeks of Geekery content or whatever we decide to cook up either weeks before or 1 hour before recording. So look for those.
Also, we have some amazing news because the podcast got approved and we are officially on Spotify. Yes, we are on Spotify now. That means we are growing. We have seen an amazing growth over the last few months. And guys, that is because of you. So an absolute huge high five and thanks to all of our community out there. We love you guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. It's because of you.
Now, we have something that is very exciting and brand new to our show. This is going to be a segment that is featured every podcast we do from now on. Because of our community, we want to pour back out into our community, and we are going to be doing a weekly community member shout out. And basically, this is what it is. We're going to scour the blogosphere and community realms of all our fellow geeks, and we are going to find a spotlight community member that we want to feature. And this week's featured community member is our friend Chestnut over at Gamer Girl Confessions. If you guys have never met her, she is an absolute blast and probably a bigger geek than either Victus or I. So this is an amazing time that you guys should definitely go check her out. A huge shout out to her and her awesomeness. You all will have to go over and give her some love and support at her website and her Twitch channel because she is a fellow streamer. That is kind of what our process is going to look like, and how we're going to kind of push this back into the community is just a big shout out because of you guys and the love that you've poured back out to us. We want to show back to our community. So anyways.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here for, is to raise each other content creators up, to support each other. And for Chestnut, if you want to check out her writings, her topics, whatever she's willing to talk about for the day for her blog, you can go to gamergirlconfession.com. You can also check out her Twitch stream at GGC Chestnut. Check her out there. She plays all sorts of different games. You can also check her out on Twitter at the same tag as on Twitch. So go check her out. Give her some love. Give her some support.
And I will make sure that we slap all of those links in our show notes as well so that you guys can go give her some love.
Now that we got the important piece out of the way, we get to come in and talk about the topic for this podcast. And that is Destiny 2, where it's at, how we've been enjoying it, why it's gotten to where it is, and what we think it's going to be like in the next DLCs.
Well, I mean, where it's at is not being played right now because we're podcasting about it. So that's where it's at.
I didn't mean at the present point in time.
But it's in the cloud. It's on a server somewhere in Bungie. No, I'm joking. Sorry.
I'm done. Have a good night, guys. See ya. No, but I mean, we had our podcast about the story of Forsaken, what we thought about that, but then we got to spend the last couple months delving into what all the content had to be there and how Bungie was going to grow the game compared to what they previously had done with it. And I mean, and right off the bat, the first things they've done right is install great community managers to engage with us, the players, in different things, in announcing different things, just talking with us and promoting the game, which has been huge.
That piece has been a critical piece to really engaging the community again. And I think bringing the health back to the game is they took the right people, put them in the right roles, and they gave them some freedom. They didn't lock it down. They said, go connect. And Bungie has done an amazing job with it, not just outside of their community managers, but with things like their development team, their raid team, even some of their graphic designers. I mean, we've seen a lot of things on social media and YouTube just about new things that the team is working on, things that we didn't see a year and a half ago. I mean, a year ago with Destiny, it was basically things under lock and key, and it was like pulling teeth to try to get something out of them, like what's coming next. And it was just really hard, and it really put a crimp on the community. But they've done a really good job of opening up with what they've got going.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have people like Deej, and you have the community managers, Deej, Cosmo, and DMG, out there and engaging with the community, where that people will post stuff, either it's concern, and you'll see Cosmo and DMG come right out and say, yes, we're addressing it, we're looking at it, or they're advertising something, or just talking to us. Like, they're showing their own gameplay of the game and posting, hey, look what we did, and not just being like a business person of the game that they've created. They show that they're enjoying it too, and playing the game.
They love the game. Even Deej plays. He plays a warlock, but he still plays.
I mean,
and
we cannot hold that against him. But
you can't hold it against him. I mean, it's Deej, But I mean, if you look at DMG and Cosmo, those guys are out on Twitter all the time, and they put challenges out for people to come play them in the Crucible. They're really good.
Absolutely.
Cosmo is actually a darn good competitive player.
Yes.
And it's cool to watch them out in the community, and they get excited about new things, which is cool to see because they're on the back end and they get to see this production and how it functions. But then you see them on the front side of the game, and they're out there sharing these moments with the community just like they would have been if they bought the game and they were playing it in their bedroom, or their home, or on their couch, or wherever they're playing it at.
Absolutely. I mean, and you have these guys, you have these community managers, and also Bungie realizes that they got to get these people that have been engaging with the community out to events. So, I mean, me and you went to Guardian Con, and Cosmo was there. Cosmo Deej goes to some of them. He was there last year at Guardian Con. They go to the different Twitch cons and all the different events that Bungie has a presence at, and they're there talking to people, taking pictures with people, setting up the event, and Bungie made the smart decision to let these community managers go and talk to players, be there.
Yeah, they're actually able to be community managers.
Absolutely, which is, wow, mind-blowing, right?
Mind-blowing that they get to do what they actually say they are. They're community managers. They're supposed to be engagement centers. They're supposed to be this kind of epicenter of information. If we've got a question and they're out and about, they have the freedom to go out and say, hey, this is what's coming, or, man, that's awesome. And just, they're an engagement point. They're the face of Bungie. They really are.
Yeah, and other smart moves that Bungie's done is when they see something that's wacky or goofy that either somebody in the development team has done or has happened outside of Destiny that sort of has been affecting it, but more from the gaming community pushing on it, they embrace it and put it in the game. All the different emotes you've seen from the games themselves, from the different interactions that the developers, that the game creators do when they're promoting their videos, and they put it right into emotes, and the community loves it. And it's eating it up.
Absolutely, they do. It becomes one of those kind of moments they get to go grind for, and just hopefully they get to have it. So that's been a huge kind of injection into the community as well, is just seeing these guys face to face, getting to see more videos from them, getting to see little moments. There was a video a couple of days ago where Deej was on Twitter, and he was with some of the community, and he said one line, but it's just the fact that he was out with the community, he was in the public, people knew who he was, and he was on social media. Somebody just took a quick picture. He had no problem with it. And they're just having fun with the community. And I'm sure, like anybody, they've got good days, bad days. Some days they don't want to do it. Some days they do. Someday I'm sure the office job, just like we have, sometimes probably sucks, and they still have to kind of put that face on and go take care of the customer. But all in all, I think Bungie's done an amazing job. They've definitely put the right people in the right places to really bring a new face and new life to the social media spaces with their community managers.
Completely agree. Completely agree. And they do a great job of weathering and holding off the trolls. I mean, because about every post that they do, whether it be hey, here's an update, or hey, check out my gameplay, whatever it may be, you have those trolls that come in. But then they do a great job of ignoring it, or if it's a valid concern, they address it. They don't beat around the bush. They're there, and they're engaging. So it's great. They've chosen great people for the jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the next thing is, this is a funny, all right, I've just got to say this, because while we were writing our show notes, I put the title of this next section in here. And as I was typing it, I kept saying deep fried content, but it is drip feed.
Very delicious content. It's very delicious.
It is a deep fried deliciousness. And this deep fried content that we're getting right now from Destiny is really a relief that we've had and we've seen over the last probably 2 years, where there was always this content drought in the game. And Victus is now typing in the show notes as we're talking. He types donuts, and now I want a flipping donut. Dang it.
But yes, absolutely. Deep fried content of Destiny 2 and what they've done with the game. Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. One of the very first things that we really get to see is raids. What did Bungie do with the raid team? They basically gave them free access to do whatever the heck they wanted to. And the raid team created this monstrosity of a raid that has been the best and the hardest thing that they have ever made in any of the Destiny realms that we've seen today, with this last feature of a raid that we got where we get to go kill a dragon. Now, I have only been in the raid a handful of times, and it is god awful to play. It is absolutely amazing, but my goodness, is it hard. And man, I just don't even have words to really say how much I hate playing this raid right now. It is so frustrating, but it's also so amazing at the same time.
Yeah, and that's where they have done such a good job, is that you can make something hard for hard's sake, but make it hard and enjoyable at the same time, that's what they did with The Last Wish, is to do that. Is they've created, it's been a couple raids since I've seen some of the top players of Destiny tap out at the end of a 28-hour raid attempt for the just released raid of Destiny. They keep referencing it back to the Taken King and what happened there.
Yeah.
And some people are saying it's even better than the Taken King, which
I would definitely agree with that.
I agree with that as well. In what's done with it, and how also with this, just like the Taken King, it tied right into the story. There is not a beat missed between the end of the campaign, what you had to do next, and why you were going into the raid itself.
Yeah.
There's no gap there.
No, definitely there's no gap there. It plays right into what we're doing in the Dreaming City now, and really just kind of sets the game up for an amazing future. So I'm excited to see what the raid team does with these next expansions, because we know that there's going to be raid layers coming. And I think that kind of sparked a lot of people's interest, because the raid team also came out in one of the kind of the dev updates and they said that these raid layers that they're doing for the Last Wish was kind of a one and done. They wanted to create something that was full, it was whole. Here you go. This is exactly what you're going to get from start to finish, like the Taken King was. So what does that mean for raid layers and this raid content that we've got coming later down the road? Does that mean new areas? Does that mean we're going to have things unlocked that we've never seen before? Does it tie back to the Last Wish? Or are they using this as story progression, and now we've got some more content that is unlocking that is raid level? That really excites me. It does.
Oh, for sure. And within what they've done with the raid itself, it's they've done what they said they did to do, which was be a complete and whole experience of the raid. Unlike with the Leviathan or the Eater of the Worlds, it was always just an extra piece to a big puzzle, which we don't even know what that puzzle is. We can assume it's meeting Callus. But in this one, we knew the goal. Goal was to go in and kill Riven. We went in and killed Riven. Okay?
Right.
And that's it. That's done. There's no more... there's a lot more that has to happen for us to even think about adding on a raid layer to that. But that part of the city's done. I mean, we're moving on to the next instance of possibly Savathûn, or big hints to Savathûn, huge hints,
massive
hints to
lore
Savathûn.
hints. Yes,
but
that's a whole nother topic. Definitely,
whole nother podcast. Yes,
I think there's a ton of steps that have to happen before we start seeing things with Savathûn. You know, we've seen a little bit in the Dreaming City already because of one of the missions that came in. It was this dungeon called the Shattered Throne. So, you know, Bungie has really just kind of gone over the top. Now we're getting legitimate dungeons in the game, like they said we were going to get a year and a half ago, and we got Lost Sectors, and now we've got this dungeon that is crazy hard, and it plays into the story. And I think Bungie has really just kind of unleashed a whole new level of game creation, development time, and story creation. It really reminds me of old school Bungie.
Absolutely, with what they've done so far. And with that, it goes right into keeping the community, the gaming community, engaged. More story keeps getting added. And it's not like it's getting added for just because, or it seems out of place, or hey, here's a morsel of story, go play with it. No, it was a continuation. It's planned out, and it's all inline story with what we've started in Forsaken. What's turned into the big bad boss is now leading to a possibly bigger boss to go fight, to lead into the story of what all took place and started at the beginning of Forsaken, which is still not even done. Even done. And the brilliance of what they've done is they've taken the story and basically caused this loop to happen in the story. It all makes sense logic-wise. There's videos from Bife and Myling Games that break it down. But it's not a one and done. You know, also that, you know, people kind of complain about the time gating of stuff. But it works.
I actually like the time gate sections of quests and different things that we get. I think this goes back to the whole community deal of the people that complained so much about we need more are the people that were grinding things in the first 3 days the content came out and they were finished, and then Bungie wasn't releasing things for another 5 months, 6 months. And you created these content droughts. Well, Bungie's fix to that is exactly what we've seen in Forsaken. And like you said, these time-gated things that we're seeing now, I think goes right into the no more content droughts, because we're getting this drip feed of little, basically micro quests that it's not a one and done. They span over a multi-week period. And I think there's still things that Bungie can improve on, and some things that we've seen already with a couple of big things that hit a few weeks ago with, we had the Festival of the Lost and you had Iron Banner that hit at the same exact time. So I think there's some, still some tweaks and stuff that Bungie need to make, but all in all, 1,000% better than where they were setting a year ago, even 6 months ago.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, and you mentioned the Festival of the Lost, and it was just getting the point, and you could see it with some of the big Destiny players, streamers out there, that they were they weren't getting close, but they were starting to get to the end of the content of Forsaken, and then comes Festival of Lost, which is a whole nother grind and story session to get into and enjoy of it. And here's some more triumphs to go work for, and here's some more things to do that more emotes, more people been grinding out for the costume helms for it. And also with the Festival of Lost, they introduced a new instance, which is special for just this holiday, which they took an instance that was bland. Nobody liked running it. Just because it was the same thing over and over, and that was, the Infinite Forest. They took the Infinite Forest and turned it into a Halloween theme that was actually scary to run the first time with you not knowing what to do.
Dude,
or if you were
the big freaking knights that came out of nowhere with the giant axes scared the living bejeebies out of me one night. I was sitting down with my controller. I turned and he was right there, and you fly off the couch and controller goes flying. Yeah, they did an amazing job. Jump scares. # jump scares.
# jump scares. Absolutely. And that's just a taste of, that was the first big event we've had since Forsaken released, and it gives us a taste of what's to come with the next holiday releases, what those turn into. I mean, I personally, I've always enjoyed the wintertime events that happen.
Yeah, I love the winter events. I always have. It doesn't matter what game it is either.
Oh, no, usually they always do really good.
Yeah, any of the big MMOs that have festivals like this usually have a wintertime event, and it just, I don't know, I like snow. I like cold, I like snow, I like fire, and just all the things that go along with winterish activities. And, I really hope that the winter event, like Festival of the Lost, hooks up and does a great job like what they did here. I think the cool thing is a lot of people from the old Festival of the Lost, they had the masks and different things. Well, they actually repurposed those masks, and they gave you a chance to use them for something more than just a decoration. You have some attachments that you can put on, some mods on these masks that actually give you some bonuses inside this, haunted forest that you get to go into now. And they've attached some other things to this as well. It's not just, hey, go grind all this activity to get something. They've attached other stuff to it. There's now a murder mystery quest that's attached to this about going and figuring out who killed the Cryptarch, Mr. Ives, from, if you guys don't know, it was back from Destiny 1. So that kind of stuff is really cool to see them expanding on their little mini missions that they're doing and their activities. It's very neat.
Yeah. And along with that, along with the drip feed of content has been their continual fixes, adjustments to everything that happens in the sandbox quality of life of Destiny 2 with Forsaken. And this goes back to the community managers, is that when there's a big concern, that's not just somebody complaining, it's actually a concern and they can see data on it, they come out and state it. They're stating, hey, we acknowledge this and we're working on it. I mean, or if it's so bad, they'll actually say, hey, we're removing this from the game temporarily as we work on it.
I've loved seeing that. We've seen a lot of instances where they've pulled stuff out, and like you said, they're working on it. Trials is kind of a big key for that. They said, hey, we're going to pull trials out for a period while we test it and take the community feedback and fix some things, and it'll be back soon. So they're listening, and that's huge.
Yeah, and they constantly are sending out updates, providing in their this week at Bungie, they'll provide an update on an issue if it requires of one, and they're not afraid to, adjust some things that may not be the most popular, but for the sake of balance requires it to be done. I mean, there's been a debating point within our group and other people is like the sleeper and queen breaker in Gambit was super powerful in overpowerful in how it worked. A lot of it had to do with just the maps. They were so open, so long range that sniping and those types of weapons, they took good control of the map.
And if you ask one of our clan mates, Skullsy, he would say, "Don't stand in the open."
Yeah, don't stand in the open. But that's just it. Is that you can't help it to include these maps that are required of Gambit to play Gambit the way it needs to be played. You do have to do some adjustments, either not allow weapons, adjust them where they're just maybe don't have as many shots, which is what they ended up doing, or pull off a couple other different things. Maybe a certain class is just really, really powerful because of you now have bosses to beat, and so a full fire team of that particular class just completely melts. And they've taken into adjusting that as well, or buffing other classes to address that, because Gambit's really big and Gambit's really competitive, even more so than actual competitive PvP. People like it. People like that you can do a PvP and PvE environment, and then they're all flocking to it, and so you're going to have a lot more feedback regarding that. But they're addressing it, and they're doing a good job at it.
Yeah, and they're, the whole addressing it is coming out in the forums. It's on Twitter. It's in This Week at Bungie, like you said. And I like that it's not just coming from one angle within Bungie. You're seeing it across the board. It's not just the community managers that are talking about it. You actually get to see some of the developers come on and talk about this stuff as well. And I like that. I like that Bungie has kind of removed the reins a little bit from, or removed the restraints from a few of their groups and said, hey, we really need you to open up and just kind of take it head on. And I like that. It's really helped.
100% agree. We're talking about the community and how they've engaged the community managers engaged with the gaming community. Forsaken as a whole and continues to be a great adrenaline shot in the arm of the community. The people were there and wanting to play Destiny, wanting a reason to play Destiny, and Forsaken gave them that reason to play, and they're enjoying it. Not just because there's content to do, but there's actual good content. There's lots of let's grind for this exotic quest. I mean, I'm gonna butcher the name. I always do. The Malfeasance. Thank you. Hand cannon.
Malfeasance.
Yes.
You have to say it with that, deep voice.
Menacing voice. Yes. I'll leave that to you. But I mean, that's a great example of a area of the game where people found out about it and then they're like, oh, let's go grind for it. And some people got it right off the bat, some people didn't. And then you had to go and actually finish out the quest to get the weapon to play it, but people really enjoyed getting the gun. It's like when people got the Ace of Spades exotic quest. Everybody was given it, but it really had some pretty tough steps in there to get it. But
yeah, it did.
Everybody thought it was worth it to get that Ace of Spades, no matter really what you had to do. One being that it was Cade's weapon, but the other was that it was a good gun. Same with his other hand cannon. Same with every exotic quest and or title that people are grinding for or have got. Yeah. They think it's worth it, and it is.
Oh, absolutely it is. And you said key word. You said exotic quest, and that was such a want from the Destiny community from back in D1 that those types of things were removed when Destiny 2 launched. And now we actually get to see these quests come back in, and it's exciting. You see that little bright yellow emblem drop in the right-hand corner of your screen. You're like, oh, what did I get? And people jump in to find out what the next quest step is. And the really cool part, me being an absolute lore nerd when it comes to Destiny, you have an amazing story that's attached to these weapons and gear. You know, the Ace of Spades quest, the Malfeasance quest have got some very, very deep-rooted lore that the community is still getting a hold of and still figuring out. So Bungie has created this massive hierarchy of multiple layers of game lore and quests, and we get to see more people that are getting involved within the story, which in turn just creates a better community feeling and really kind of brings the health of the game back up, because you're getting more people involved, and the health of the game comes from this two-way street now, where we're able to voice those opinions and what we want to see and how things function. And Destiny has given their feedback as well, as here's what we're doing, and we're being open about it. So yeah, I really think that the whole grinding of the game and what people are seeing and how they're playing, and it becomes this rewarding feeling now, because what you're playing is giving you something back, and you actually get to engage with the creators of the game. It's not just this, they gave us something, we paid for it, and now nobody cares anymore. And that's how it felt a year ago, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it calls back to D1. I mean, I always think when I talk about the top exotic quests that I grinded for in D1 was the 3 swords. You know,
those were amazing.
Those were amazing because they were great, unique weapons to get, albeit the quest at a certain point where throughout it, they were identical to each other, but almost everyone that was hardcore playing at the time, doing the raids and leveling up, went and got, and had 3 characters, they went and got all 3 swords because they were worth it. Same thing as what we're experiencing right now with the exotic quest. No matter what the exotic quest is, it's worth it. You know, people are going out and doing the events, no matter how long they have to grind for it. Some people are getting really unlucky, but still, they're doing it. They're continuing. Yeah. They have done it. They've gotten the weapons, or there's people still grinding for them and doing it all on their characters.
Yeah, and Bungie's given people a choice now. You can choose to do a lot of different things in the game. I've spent more time personally going and searching for the lore in the game, to whereas some of the guys in our clan have spent more time playing Gambit and looking for, new weapons or gear. And I'm a big story guy, so I wanted to go find the lore. And that's just, I think that's really cool. And what they've done and given people is there's multiple avenues. If you like competitive, go play competitive. And there's lots of things to go grind for and do now. If you like story, there's a massive story and tons of stuff to go get. So I think Bungie is so far down the road. It's a whole new creature from where they were, 6 months ago. They've just really expanded what they're doing, and it's cool to see. So I go back to my original point of the right people in the right roles has made an amazing difference with the overall experience of the game. And that just brings a huge health to the community.
Absolutely. And it puts us in a great spot to think about what's coming with the next DLCs, the next releases.
Oh, we've got so much stuff coming.
So much stuff. And they've been deep frying it to us, drip feeding it to us, and for what's coming through story, we've already starting to see little tidbits of the Black Armory with exotic quests that are dropping that are time gated.
Right. And the Black Armory, we don't know a whole lot, and that's not what this episode's about. We're not going to jump into what we think is coming. But with the Black Armory, it's unlocking new weapons, new story, new things. So I think Bungie has really set themselves up for success with, one, they gave the players a roadmap that was longer than 2 weeks out.
Yep.
They gave them months and months of content that goes all the way out until summer of next year. And that really puts the developers in a good state. One, because that says we're forward thinking, we're already and have developed this content because it's got names, we know what it is. So they're thinking about it. They know it's there. They know the need is there. And two, it really kind of hypes the community up to give them some little tidbits, not just in the social media spaces, but now you're getting it in the game. You get these little tidbits of what's coming, and it brings excitement for the next DLC and what the story's going to bring, and it kind of amps everybody up and just makes everybody excited for that next season of Destiny.
Yeah, absolutely. My only fear of the DLCs is that they create a DLC that by itself is a good DLC, but does not continue with the storyline that happened in Forsaken. Personally, and that's my opinion. Some people will take it and they'll enjoy the DLC and they'll say, great job, Bungie. But I'll be the one to say, I would have liked it to continue, albeit you can throw your own intro in there. But regarding how to do the next DLC, my opinion is that they need to interweave as they've done all the way through this. Always call back to what happened in Forsaken, build on that, keep showing us what evil is out there. You know, for how big it is, we can't really ignore it for an entire DLC and wait till, the next one is in what's going to happen. Those are okay for the events. It makes sense. It's an event. But for an entire DLC, I personally, that's my fear. Now, I know that the content and the grind in the game is going to be great. They've shown good execution of that so far, and I have no doubt they'll continue to do that.
Well, and what I liked with Forsaken is it was a non-linear story. So you didn't just have point A to point B from point B to point C. You had other things in there as well. And I hope that we don't end up with something like a Curse of Osiris DLC that's about 3 seconds long, and it tells what should have been an amazing story, but failed. And I hope we don't see that with things like Black Armory. There's so much speculation around that, and, coming next year, we've got Joker's Wild and Penumbra as well, if I'm saying that right. Maybe not, but if you look at the Black Armory, tons of speculation about where we're going and what's happening. Joker's Wild, if I remember right, is going to be kind of the backstory with the Drifter. So I think, again, tons of speculation with the lore community and what that's really going to bring, if you know who the Drifter is and some of his backstory. And then Penumbra is apparently taking us back to the Leviathan, or a Leviathan, I can't even talk right now, Leviathan-ish area. Maybe we get to actually meet Callus. Who knows? So I think Bungie has done something really smart, and I have one kind of takeaway that if they do what I think they're going to, they're creating excitement, and they're leaving enough time and space for people to create speculations that they can let kind of linger within the community, whether it be lore, the how-to guides, the glitchers, all of them. They've got their speculation of what's coming. What I hope doesn't happen, though, is, like we said, if they create a DLC that is so underwhelming that it takes away from all of the enjoyable moments that we've had from the Forsaken, and it kind of washes that down the toilet and really takes away from the main game. So all of that momentum and everything that they've created, now they've just washed down the toilet because they created this underwhelming DLC, which we've seen Bungie do in year one of D2. And I really hope that they learn from that and they go above and beyond those expectations, like what we saw them do with Forsaken.
And from the evidence so far, they're going to produce a great DLC. 'Cause so far, they've produced great content, starting with Forsaken, starting with all the drip feed content, and now currently with the Festival of the Lost. So, great hopes here into the next DLC is going to be great. The DLC after that, and we'll see.
Yeah. Exciting times. I am super pumped.
Exciting.
Super pumped for the rest of this year and what we've got coming. Next year is going to be even greater. And there's other talks out there about Destiny 3, and that's for another episode. But that pretty much wraps things up for this one. So we want to thank all our listeners for your guys' support. You have helped us grow, and it is because of you guys and all the likes and thanks and hugs and appreciation goes back to you.
Absolutely. And we create the content so that you can listen to it, enjoy it. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can be sure to stop by and check out our content. We have our website out there, allthingsgeekery.com, and we're always out on social media. So if you want to chat with us, come find us out on Twitter. We post our podcasts on YouTube, and we also have a lot of other social media platforms. You can go out to our different, if you're on the website, you can also go out and download our podcast on, like was mentioned before, Spotify, Podbeam, iTunes, any of those platforms that you use. We'll have all those links in the description below.
Yeah, and if you guys have any specific topics that you would like us to look at in future episodes, you guys can email those to us at podcastatg@gmail.com. And guys, that wraps up this episode. So as always, you guys stay awesome, and we will see you in the next episode.